Hi everyone, I'm back with part 2 of colouring in the Reptiloids book, which is this one, the first one by Vasil Psycho. And I started out that first part of the page using Crayola super tips on a plate and lifting the colour up with the water brush, and that's how that one is looking. Very subtle results in some areas, which is very nice. And now I've got in this case here my set of Crayola coloured pencils. I have the coloured set. I don't know if it's 100 or maybe is it 120 of these colours, I can't remember. And I've also got the colours of the world in here with it, and a couple of extra packs that I picked up, you know, the colours of kindness, some of those little curated packs that Crayola have brought out recently. So I'm going to use those to just finish off this page. I explained in the first video that it's a buddy colour with my friend Joe on Instagram, and Joe is 120 Colours. And I have already seen Joe's finished page, so I set out with the goal that I wanted to make this look quite different in terms of colours and style from how Joe had coloured hers. And now normally we don't tend to do that. Normally we would say, you know, I've finished, how are you going? You know, you don't necessarily reveal it to each other, but our schedules being what they are at the moment, Joe had completed hers and showed me, and I decided to colour mine on camera and use it as a demo, which she was really supportive of me doing that. So thanks, Joe. And I'm colouring this while she sleeps because of the time difference. Joe is in the UK and I'm in Australia, and so quite often our messages are waiting for each other when the other one wakes up, which is kind of funny. But I hadn't got around to starting mine yet, and Joe had a window of time free to do hers. So the good thing about this little Reptiloid book is that the pictures don't generally take a long time, and they're quite fun and really easygoing images, so then they don't need to be laboured over. They're quirky and they're fun and they're small, so you know it's best to sort of take a fun approach with them. And even if you colour completely in coloured pencils, they're not a huge time commitment. But I've been colouring this now, I think the first video was about half an hour, and I'm less than 5 minutes in on this one, and it's coming along really well. So I'm just using ash here to start establishing a few deeper colours. Now I know a lot of people don't like Crayola pencils, and it really is dependent on paper. But I've found that with this little book, I've done quite a few pages with Crayola now, and they work quite well on this paper. I find that the range of colours is sufficient. I like the way that they feel layering them up on the right sort of paper. They can layer nicely. I also use a low toxic solvent, and I have it in an old dried up Prismacolor marker pen, and I put solvent into the pen, and I use that to blend when I want to as well with these Crayola. And I find using the solvent and layering them up, you can get a really nice depth of colour with them, and I'm quite happy with the way they look. I know not everyone is. This is dark brown, so very much personal choice. But I would say that if you do have them and you haven't been able to work with them, persevere. Keep trying lots of different books, you know, different types of paper. And also consider working this way, where you lay down a base colour with the Crayola Super Tips. Let it dry thoroughly, because you don't want to work onto damp paper. Sorry about that. You don't want to work onto damp paper with a coloured pencil, because you'll just tear your paper up and you won't get a good result at all. But yeah, consider maybe having a go with layering a base layer of Super Tips, and it helps to just sort of cover that paper, lay down that base, and then you can just come in with these pencils over top, and you know, you can get quite a nice textured look with them. Now, I can't remember, did I say this is actually dark brown that I'm using here rather than black? I like to save black for the biggest impact. So that would be, you know, like the cane here. Some shadow on the shoes maybe. So it's giving that impression that it is a black shoe without actually colouring the whole thing in solidly black. I'll just put a little bit under there. So anywhere where there might be a very dark shadow, you can perhaps put a little hint of the black into that. So just be a little bit thoughtful about where you use black, because you want to get the most bang for your buck, and you know, don't use too much but get the best impact with it that you can. If I start putting that everywhere, I'm going to lose its impact. And I'm jumping around a bit because I'm conscious that I want to not take too much time, but give you a feeling for how I would approach this part of finishing off the page. So I've got golden yellow here and bronze yellow. This bronze yellow, pardon me, I've had a little bit of trouble sharpening it. That's why that's quite a bit shorter than most of the others in the set. But I have actually used this set a lot, because even though I've got many other sets and you know, I've got some polychromos. My Prismacolor did arrive. I've got a few expensive pencil sets and mid-range pencil sets, but I genuinely do like working with these Crayola pencils. There are some books that I just find are perfect for them. I'm putting quite a bit of pressure there on that colour because I do want it to sort of be a bit stronger. Now if I coloured the whole page with these, I can already feel that tiring my hand. So that's the value in using your super tips as a base, like a watercolour base. Is that you're going to sort of save your wrist and hands a little bit of pain. No matter what pencils you are going to use, it will help shorten your time, your colouring time. So that's a combination there of bronze yellow and golden yellow over the top of that base of super tips, which of course I have no names for, so I can't help you out there. Next I would jump to his clothes because I don't want the background to overpower his clothes, so I'm trying to keep a balance of all of the picture as I go. And this one is called Cool Mint. This is part of the Colours of Kindness pack, and that is very mint. So mixed with that other colour underneath, it's actually coming out to be quite pleasant. I don't want to cover everything in coloured pencil. I do want some of that watercolour wash effect to show through. And I've got Wild Blue Yonder here. It's not really showing up that dark. Because I've already used that mint colour underneath, this is skating over the top of that a little bit. But that's okay, I don't want it to be a solid colour, I want it to look a bit shabby, a bit faded. Okay, so I would like something a little bit deeper here for his trousers. So I think we might go with slate. Just suggest a little bit of a shadow. Put some of that into his shoes as well. Now I don't want to cover all of this lovely effect that we've got going on here with the bleeding of the water-based markers. So it's just putting a little bit of extra depth of colour there really. I'm not going to mess with that because I quite like it. Now once again, I'm not looking to be too precise or perfect with my shading and my colouring. I want texture, I want a sense of quirkiness and playfulness. I don't want it to look like a painting or a photograph. I want that texture and I want that random bits of colour where you don't expect to see it sort of look. And also don't forget, you don't have to colour everything. You can leave some things white. You can leave some of the white of the paper showing through. I don't really want that to look like a shadow per se, but I just want to gradually darken that so that he comes forward and you can see that he's actually, you know, well in front of this thing that's behind him. I'm never entirely sure how to colour, you know, sort of fancy fretwork or stonework or woodwork, so, you know, I just fudge it a bit. Make sure that I use all of the colours in little bits all over the place so it all ties together. Now onto this little dragon here. I know I'm going to listen back to this and hate the way that I'm saying here. I need to think about how my accent is coming out sometimes because I do sound very much like I'm speaking with slang and not very careful with my pronunciation sometimes. I'm sorry, but that tends to happen when, you know, I'm trying to sort of think about several things at once and speak. It's all too much. Okay, this is called Fuzzy Wuzzy, and it's sort of like a weird pink colour almost. And that tip is broken, so try to do the best we can because I don't actually have the sharpener with me. These ones that have got quite long tips, I think I sharpen them using the Derwent crankshaft sharpener, if I remember correctly. It gave them a really long point, which with the Crayola being quite hard is not a bad idea. However, for some reason that one is loose. So I'm not going to push my luck with that one any further. And what I will introduce into there now, I used like a tan brown. Let's use light brown. Now I'm not sure if these are meant to be feathers or leaves. There's a line of them running down his back. But whatever they are brown. And to give it a little bit more definition, I'll go for a deeper. This one's called Cocoa. And I'm just going into those areas that are either behind or underneath something else, just to help give it a little bit of definition and a suggestion of the form. So these Crayola pencils are actually working quite nicely over that watercolour wash with the super tips. It's helping to just give that paper enough texture that the pencils aren't needing too much pressure. It's coming along quite nicely, and I think I'd like a bit of a pinky. This one is Light Almond from the Colours of the World set. I have found the Colours of the World set does feel a lot harder to me. The consistency of the lead seems a lot harder than the general set of pencils. I have found them harder to work with. How's that looking in the camera? Not too bad. I think this guy needs a little bit more work done to him. I've got green, blue, just to go in some of these sort of more shadowy areas, and a bit onto that hair bow. Now Vessel has got quite a lot of descriptive lines there that helps you to place your shading. So we're coming up for the 25-minute mark. So it's still less than an hour on this at this point, just to give you an idea. This is Olive. Now you can sit here and colour every leaf precisely the same, and it would be very painstaking, and it is very effective at the end of it, but it's more work than I wish to put into it for the payout, so I just do it in some different places where I think I'm going to get the most impact and tell the most of a story using it. So behind things, underneath things, you know, things that are really overlapping. If you want to describe it and tell the story, then that's where you can use your colour and get the most effect. Also going to add a little bit of green into these posts or pillars, because it just helps to tie those elements into, you know, this ground that we have. It's not going to be really obvious, but it is there. And maybe a little bit of that just on those green areas. And I guess, is that a treat or a ball or something that he's offering in there? I'm not quite sure. So I'm almost finished here, but I've just had a little advice that I'm getting quite low on battery, so if this ends abruptly, it's because of that. The last final thing that I would do is introduce a bit of metallic, and I'm going to put a little bit of silver on his buckles. So if I disappear and you don't see the end of this page, it will be on my completed pages at the end of the month, and it will also be on Instagram. I upload all of my pages onto Instagram. It's like my personal little photo journal to remember the pages that I've done. So I'm just using some Sakura Jelly Roll metallic pens here for a little bit of metallicness. And I'm going to, just because I don't know what that is, I'm going to turn that into something gold as well. And I think I might just put a little bit around these things. And this is pretty much done, so I'm going to show it to you. There may be a bit of tweaking when I put it onto Instagram, but there won't be a lot more. It's pretty much done. So there's that effect with the skin that I really enjoyed. And his coat, the dragon. I've left lots of white there, quite intentionally. I'm going to leave that. So that's how that guy turned out. So that's Reptiloids, and I've used Crayola Super Tips and Crayola pencils. Oops, there we go. Just your budget supplies, and I'm quite happy with the way that's turned out. So thank you, Joe, if you're watching. Another great buddy colour, and we will have to line up the next one. Thanks everyone for watching, and I will see you again really soon. Bye now.